Hey, Gabriel,
Hey, Gabriel Jose.
where are we today?
I am in San Francisco. Where are you?
God, that was like a very big twist because you usually tell where I am too, and I actually just made
Last
the
time you
most.
got offended.
Yeah, no, I cannot drop my guard. It's like this is like the new Gabriel. It's always going to be like just like putting me on my feet. I'm still in Chicago. I'm still in the Midwest, waiting for the first snow of the season that it may
Still
start in a couple
nothing.
of days. The what?
No snow yet?
No, we had like a day the other day that it was 70 during the
Wow.
weekend, that it felt like this is a good San Francisco day. I
That
felt like
sounds
pretty
really
nice.
nice.
No, it
It's
was
been
pretty nice.
cold here.
Yeah. No, I'm not complaining. It's like the temperature has been like pretty great. Let's see how it start dropping like crazy.
Well, what did we watch this week, Jose?
Oh my god. Are you really like just
Black
waiting
is
and
white, up is down, everything is backwards.
are you waiting every single time that you see me start drinking water for actually just asking me something? No, this time, just as recently, we're talking about Wes Anderson and talking about his latest movies and his trajectory and what we consider that it was like the best stuff that he did and the worst. We decided to just go to the origins and just watching his first movie, I think, that is called Bottle Rocket.
Yeah, so according to his IMDb page, he had a short the year before called Bottle Rocket, and then apparently the full-length film came out of that.
Gotcha. But it actually follows the same stories and extension, is a retelling.
No idea. I haven't seen the short. I just saw he had a short of the same name the year before, or maybe it was the same year, but it was on his IMDb page. It's earlier than the feature-length film, which was shown at Sundance and
Oh,
launched his career just like Steven Soderbergh, Quentin Tarantino. So many good directors came out of Sundance in the 90s.
well, that's interesting. Uh, and I had to say something that I didn't know is that I knew that Wes Anderson loved Owen Wilson, but I didn't know that this movie was going to have not two Wilsons, but three Wilsons in it.
Don't spoil it. Wow. I just looked it up on IMDb. I can't believe that.
Yep. I realized about it when I started like just scrolling through the cast. It's okay, yeah, Luke and Owen. I think that I knew Luke Wilson before, and then it's when I was like just scrolling, like, wait, there is another Wilson. That sure is a coincidence. Until it's like, oh no, he's actually another sibling, Andrew Wilson.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. And as this was my pick, what what is this movie about?
I was actually stressing a little bit because this film is a little bit hard to describe, and I don't know why. But basically, Luke Wilson, who is handsome as hell in the early 90s, good lord. I find him very attractive now, but I was like, wow, this is a good looking dude. He plays a character named Anthony, and the film starts where he is leaving I don't think they say psychiatric hospital. Well, no, they said he had a breakdown. But it's a voluntary hospital. He wasn't put there by force. He's ready to leave, but his best friend Dignan, played by his brother Owen Wilson, thinks that he's helping break out Anthony. Even though Anthony is allowed to just walk out the doors, Anthony is obligated to jump out the window and climb down, like bed sheets tied together. And I actually found that scene super sweet because we immediately see that Dignan is actually the insane person, and Anthony's just trying to humor his best friend who's a little bit insane, which was very nice, actually. Dignan has these ideas that he is a brilliant career criminal, and he plans kind of an unspecified crime spree that has to do with a robbery, but it's not really clear what they're going to do. But he uses a picture of the quote-unquote team that's ready to go and like commit these crimes, which they're robberies. It's not like they're, I don't know, committing white-collar crimes, whatever.
Yep.
And so they go on a road trip, and you're gonna have to help me here, even though I watched it today. They commit crime. They rob some sort of business.
A
It was
bookstore.
A bookstore. It doesn't go very well, but they do get some money. And as they're trying to get out of Dodge, as the term goes, they hole up in a motel, which was a beautiful motel, where Luke Wilson, for no reason at all, besides she's gorgeous, falls deeply in love with a housekeeper, a girl from Paraguay, named
Ines.
Inez. And Inez doesn't speak English very well. Anthony doesn't speak Spanish, but she just follows her around, and they quickly have this very nice connection. And when it's time to go on to the next job, I should mention that Dignan's kind of loser neighbor named Bob joins their team, and so it's like the three of them, and it's kind of like the Three Stooges and how ridiculous and stupid they all are, but also like endearing and charming. Imagine like the Grand Budapest Hotel, but not a cartoon, with like reasonably believable characters. There's still style there, but it's not like Tilda Swinton with teeth prosthetics.
Yeah, I just had the feeling that it's like basically adults still playing to be kids.
Yeah, that's a good description.
You know? But the thing, okay, I sorry, go ahead. I just let's finish the summary. There are like some things that I want to share, but let's just finish like about what happens.
So Dignan has a former employer named Henry, Mr. Henry, something like that. And Mr. Henry is
there was in the picture.
He was in the picture. He has a landscaping business. Dignan worked for him, but he was also a criminal, a robber. And what happens? Like, Bob's brother gets arrested for marijuana growth, and so Bob abandons the team, and Anthony wants to abandon the quote-unquote team because he loves Inez. And so Owen Wilson, Dignan, feels abandoned, and Anthony goes and tries to live like a quote-unquote straight life with Bob. And they get real jobs, they get 3 jobs, and they're exhausted, and he's like finding pleasure and, you know, just working hard and keeping himself out of trouble. Then Dignan comes back, he reconnected with Mr. Henry, they have a new idea for some other crime, another robbery. Anthony resists. At some point he caves, he agrees to join this new plan. It's unclear what that plan is until much later in the film. Dignan tells Mr. Henry, look, I really want to do this one by myself. Can I be the lead? Let me and my team go and do it. And they commit this horrible robbery that's a complete failure. Everyone fucks up in a very comedic way. And then Dignan kind of takes the fall, but in a noble way, because he goes in to save one of the members of their team that gets shot, which is actually the Indian man that is in most of Wes Anderson's films. That I died recently, right?
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's a pity.
I could be wrong, but I thought one of his more recent films was dedicated to his memory, because he had died, but I could be making all of that up. And that essentially is the film.
Okay. Yeah, there is a small twist there with Mr. Henry, you know, but it's fine. We can just leave it. It doesn't change anything.
Yeah, it's kind of nice not to mention that twist.
So
I was like, what, is this really happening?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to be mentioning, but something that I wanted to mention that I found interesting is that, you know, like the life cycle of genres in Hollywood, that is like, it starts like a proto-genre, that you have like some random ideas that some of them, they don't gel together, but it starts to just feel like maybe there is some common narrative that it can be reused. It starts being like polished with more and more movies, and you start seeing like a bit more like the tropes, and then it goes into just the parody or maturity about like, okay, now no one does anything on this genre, and it becomes like a parody of itself, you know. And then you have like the reinvention about like you have one that it tries to just defy like the kind of the tropes of a specific genre. I felt like this movie was the proto-genre of Wes Anderson, not of a genre, of Wes Anderson. Is that you have like the quirky characters, you know, they talk in ways that is like, this is not really believable, they feel like grown-up kids. But one thing that I realized when watching this movie is that most of the characters from Wes Anderson, they're quirky, but they live in quirky worlds that they don't challenge or question the resistance and their modus operandi. This movie is not like that. This movie felt like you guys are weirdos, and the rest of the world realize that you guys are weirdos.
That's interesting you bring that up, because I can't remember if the discussion we had about this last week was on the recording of the podcast or it was separate, but you mentioned to me you had seen The French Dispatch. I have not. And that you felt that Wes Anderson had become a parody of himself. He's gone so far in the other direction.
Yeah.
Which I feel that way about
The Budapest Hotel.
Grand Budapest Hotel. The one about the Boy Scouts was fine.
Marks.
I liked that worked. But yeah, I feel like he's just going off in this other direction. So we wanted to see where he started. And I tried really hard to think of myself as an enthusiastic Sundance film goer, seeing this film for the first time, and if I would think it was interesting, quirky. And I thought, yeah, like I would see this movie at the festival and be like, this guy has a style and it's cool and it's weird and I haven't seen something like this.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
So what I was going to say, like that part about the style is that you see from time to time, like those shots that he abuses so much from nowadays about like there has to be like perfect symmetry, characters like just walk, you know, like from the sides, they meet up in the center, they talk with each other, and then the camera goes to another place. Is that there are a couple of scenes with that, but he doesn't abuse of that. What he does that I love is that there are like several times that they show like a, how you say, like aerial perspective of a table. And it's like super complex, like the layout that they have. All the tables are like just super rich, super with details, like random stuff there that it tells you a lot about the characters. You know, that I feel is that this is interesting storytelling. The thing is like now as his style is so over the top or so, how do you say, like overloaded. Yeah, it's overloaded with detail. Is that when you have like these shots, is that they don't have like the magic. They don't have like the magic about like everything is fine and then suddenly you see something like so complex put in front of you that it actually presents like an interesting contrast that I think that was lost because he just decided to just be a bit more uniform with his cinematography style.
Yeah, I completely agree. There was a scene that really stuck out to me when Anthony and Dignan finally actually meet Mr. Henry. I mean, they know the characters know each other, but when the audience meet Mr. Henry, he invites them up to the lawn. There was a funny name, the Lawn Gardeners or something.
Yeah, like the building. Yeah, whatever.
He takes them up to what I like to think is like a thieves' lair, and it's so fucking stylish, and it like nothing makes sense. And it was like, this is the world of Wes Anderson. Like in this weird garage is this super stylish like place where thieves hang out and they plan their next thing. Yeah. And it like really was compelling to see that. And I kept wondering, is this compelling because I like Wes Anderson's style before it went too crazy? Or is this just a compelling movie? And I think the answer is, this is a pretty good movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting because I also couldn't shake the feeling about like, this reminds me of Australian independent cinema.
Of Australian independent cinema?
Yeah, from Australia.
Like Muriel's Wedding?
Muriel's Wedding and Strictly Backroom.
There's something inside that's very upset with you right now.
But you're not disagreeing. Because the thing is that I was trying to put the finger into, okay, there is something, okay, there is a Wes Anderson style, but this kind of low budget, quirky story, you know, and endearing characters, and just feeling like pretty minimal, like the story into, you know, like very rural United States. It just felt very Australian because all the movies about in Australia, they feel rural by definition.
And I would also say that like the characters in the Australian films we mentioned and the characters in this film, they feel like they have 1 foot in fantasy and 1 foot in reality, which is something I enjoy about all of those films, and is something I kind of mourn the loss of in a film like Grand Budapest Hotel, where it's like, okay, these aren't real people, they're not real characters, they're caricatures or parodies, whatever.
Did you watch Be Kind Rewind?
I did.
And you're not a fan?
I fucking hated that it got such hype, and I watched it and I was like, what?
I mean, I just went like completely innocent to it. I just heard it was going to be like a, you know, a cute comedy with Jack Black. And it felt like it was, I don't know, like heartwarming. cute, imaginative, without going completely insane, like very Gondry. So
to me, the whole premise of where they were reenacting all the movies on VHS as if no one would notice, I was like,
it's cute. It's such a cute idea.
There's nothing about that that's believable. That being said, you know how much I like sad, like miserable films. It's not for me, that film. But
Okay.
yeah, I agree with you. It has that, I feel like this term is overused, but it has that quirkiness that Wes Anderson has down pat.
But the thing is, like, he went a bit more like higher scope on the stuff that he does. That's the reason where I felt like just pretty compelled by this movie on the perspective of saying like they live in their own world. The rest of the world doesn't matter. It's not about like just depicting that cartoon situation as the Grand Budapest Hotel, or even like the reality of Moonrise Kingdom. There is like this island where they are, and everything is like just super magical. But that's a bit more like his cinematography style. It's like he turns everything into this kind of parody of reality.
I wonder if Moonrise Kingdom worked for me because that seems like a really well done children's story.
Yeah. Yeah.
And something like the Grand Budapest Hotel, it's clearly for adults. And talk to me as if I'm more intelligent.
I'm not saying that I am, but just at least pretend that I am. No, overall, I like it, and I feel like this is a very interesting exercise about like looking at this movie. It's like it's not a life-changing movie. I don't think, at least. I still like more Life Aquatic, but that's a personal preference. I understand that some people like more like the Royal Tenenbaums or Rushmore. Rushmore is a weird one. Did you watch it?
I love Rushmore, and I would actually be very interested in. I loved Royal Tenenbaums as well.
Yeah.
The Life Aquatic is the only film of his that I didn't like. It would be interesting to rewatch that with you and hear your perspective on it.
Didn't we watch it? Yeah, we watched it. No? We have a podcast about it.
Wow, I don't remember that at all.
Well, I mean, it was like half of the show ago. This was like episode 60.
Oh, okay. So that was over a year ago. That's
Yeah, and it was between Marie Antoinette and the Ice Storm. So I understand that you forgot about it.
Big films.
Sure. But no, I really like Life Aquatic, but I think that it was also like the first movie that I watched by him, and I felt like wow. And Rushmore, I think that I went to watch it to the Castro Theater in a double feature, and I was like, it's weird.
Rushmore has one of my favorite on-screen jokes of all time. When Luke Wilson plays the surgeon, and Jason Schwartzman is fighting for the affection of the woman, I can't think of her name. And Jason Schwartzman, the nerdy teenager, is saying like, "What you're wearing is weird." And he's like, "These are OR scrubs." And he said, "Oh, are they?" And Bill Murray does a spit take because he finds it so funny. It's a really good scene. But yeah, it's probably like minor Wes Anderson. It's not like one of his best, I think.
Yeah, I understand that in Royal Tenenbaums, like his style was like just way more defined than in Rushmore.
Yeah, but in the Royal Tenenbaums, I felt like the story was real. Like it felt like it could be a real story. The characters were quirky, and it wasn't too absurd. And not that absurd is always bad, but like compared to, I didn't see the French Dispatch, but wouldn't you say that compared to the Royal Tenenbaums feels like a straightforward drama almost?
Well, I mean, I think that. But the thing is, like, it's a family that everyone is basically like a quote-unquote genius, or they have like some kind of a strength.
Like the Kennedys.
True, but they don't do like a Wes Anderson comedy with the Kennedys. Maybe he should, but that would be
I watched that.
that wouldn't be like too politically correct. I don't know. I would have to watch it. That was like also like, probably the second one that I watched by him, and I think that probably the Life Aquatic was the most recent one that he had when I watched it.
Why don't we do like Wes Anderson January and we just watch all his films?
Well, we started with this one, so it's like it's just continued. Rushmore can be the next, Royal Tenenbaums, we can skip Life Aquatic if you want, as we watched it like recently, and then just doing the whole thing.
The next one?
I think so. No, it's the second one, if I recall correctly. Oh, and we have to watch the Fantastic Mr. folks.
Yeah, Rushmore, then the Royal Tenenbaums. If you look at the progression between those three films, it's interesting, even if you don't like the style, it's interesting to watch him find his cinematic voice. It's very impressive that in 3 films you got from Bottle Rocket to the Royal Tenenbaums for me, and then Life Aquatic, which you like a lot.
Yeah. And then he did the Darjeeling. I never watched the Darjeeling Limited.
As I recall, I liked it, and they did an interesting marketing ploy in conjunction with iTunes, where the Darjeeling Limited was coming out, and then they released a 17-minute short only on iTunes that starred Natalie Portman and Jason Schwartzman. Natalie Portman is never in the Darjeeling Limited. Jason Schwartzman is devastated the entire time by a breakup. So they talk about her the entire time, but she was only in the short, which I found that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's a bit of a jerk move, but okay.
But the film works without it. It was just like, hey, here's basically a commercial. A 17-minute commercial you can only see on iTunes for this film.
Okay, I mean, you can see that it's a short. Maybe in a similar way to Bottle Rocket, like the initial short, being preparation for the movie.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe actually, can't you imagine, maybe we should actually just try to hand down the original short, because imagine that is the story of him ending up on in the asylum.
Ooh. That's actually really interesting.
I mean, I don't think that's the case, but
the same actors in the short.
Yeah, with the same roles. Yeah.
Just fair warning, I did not read the New York Times review of this film, so I don't know if I liked it or not. But I did read on the IMDb trivia page that because this movie bombed so badly in the box office, nobody saw this. Luke Wilson was thinking about giving up on acting because he thought he couldn't make it and he was going to join the Marines.
Wow. Well, I mean, it's similar to Naomi Watts, no?
Yeah, she was going to quit. Nicole Kidman was like, just do one more film, and then she did Mulholland Drive.
And then, well, her career was good.
I mean, she did the American version of Funny Games, so...
You cannot get any better than that.
You were in Mulholland Drive and Funny Games, I don't care what you do.
That's true. There are not so many actors or actresses that they work with David Lynch and Haneke.
I'm getting a little aroused right now. Wow.
I'm trying to think if Huppert actually worked with Lynch, and she didn't. Monica Bellucci, maybe? She did something with Haneke?
What would she have done with Haneke?
I mean, just thinking from the perspective of European actors that work with Lynch.
Definitely Gaspar Noé. And then the Wachowski brothers at the time.
Oh, yeah. That's, oh my God. That was in Matrix 2 or 3, no?
It was definitely the Matrix 2. I remember. They used the Matrix to make her come.
God, that's okay. In any case, just going back to Bottle Rocket, I'm surprised that this wasn't a big hit. And even if it was not a big hit, that someone trusted Wes Anderson for it. Hey, you sound quirky. Let's just go, and do another one. Let's see if this one works. If this one sticks.
But I think it was extremely well reviewed. Critically, people loved it. Just when somebody bought it, an unlucky distributor, and nobody went to see it in the box office because it was an unknown director, unknown actors. But I'm sure some private and like executive producer was like, yeah, like put Bill Murray and Jason Schwartzman in a movie and I'll pay for it.
Okay. No, that's fair. That's completely fair. Do we have anything else to say about the movie?
The one thing I'll say is that when I saw this the first time, this was only the second viewing. I saw it for the first time, I don't know, 20 years or so ago. I didn't like it the first time I saw it. This time I liked it a lot, but I found it interesting. I didn't laugh out loud one time.
Yeah, it's true that there are not too many laugh out loud jokes on this movie.
But I do consider it funny, which obviously seems to be a paradox. But it seems to be, at least for me, a very different brand of comedy. I liked it a lot this time around. I honestly wish Wes Anderson would find a happy medium between, well, not Moonrise Kingdom, that was a very good film, but like a happy medium between The Grand Budapest Hotel and Bottle Rocket, which is the Royal Tenenbaums.
I was going to say Life Aquatic, but yeah, Life Aquatic may be a bit more cartoony.
I would agree with you that it's about the same level as the Royal Tenenbaums. It's that same level of quirkiness.
But
in Life Aquatic, right? And there was
there was what?
Narration, like exposition.
Yeah, there was, when they were like just talking about like the memories of Steve Zissou, you know, about like this is the work of his life, and there is some narration, you know, for setting up the scene that is like just super quirky, super fast paced, and super absurd, and then just the story continues. But what I was going to say is there's something that I appreciated, and I think that this is actually, imagine, I'm thinking something right now. It's like what we're talking about here in a Bottle Rocket is like the Wilson brothers. They are kids, like with the fantasy of being like big criminals, big time criminals, you know, and they have like that kind of quirkiness and a bit of imagination and innocence, you know, about like just making that work. And I think that I described several times that Wes Anderson tries to capture like the fantasy of the fakeness of cinema, like trying to recapture that kind. It's like when you were little, you could roll with anything that happens on cinema and you were fine with it, you know, because that was like as far as cinema could go. You were not used to these Marvel movies that everything is like super expensive CGI. So I feel like Life Aquatic, for me, it actually captures a lot of that, about like how they use like not really puppets, but how they use like completely fake stuff. It just tries to capture the awe of seeing something that is like that magical in front of you, that we know as an audience that is fake, but I want you to just apply that kind of suspension of disbelief. I want you to feel like the kids in Bottle Rocket, about like just having that dream of having this reality. I'll bet you know that is not real because you're an adult.
I can see that 100%, and based on what you just described, it kind of feels like it's kind of a throwback to like this golden age of Hollywood where the characters are kind of larger than life.
Yeah.
So you agree? You're nodding your head. That's not a crazy notion.
No. I think so. I think that actually is like if you think, for example, the Grand Budapest Hotel, like the main character feels straight from a Hollywood movie from the Golden Age. They talk and behave, and that way is like almost like Rick in Casablanca. But
so this question just popped into my head. How would you feel about Wes Anderson directing Sunset Boulevard?
But I don't think that Wes Anderson can do drama. I don't think that he's capable of doing drama. Even like when he has like dramatic elements in his movies, is that he can. It's still quirky. It's still like I'm not going to cry at this. It's almost like the story of Owen Wilson and Bill Murray in Life Aquatic that probably you don't remember. But it's like that part about like, is the kid, is not the kid? And then at the end, it's a bit more like just coming to the realization about like, I was a shitty parent and I was never a parent to begin with.
Yeah, I think any moment of like seriousness or drama in his films is immediately followed up by a quirky joke. So yeah.
Is that it's not set up for being a drama, and doing Sunset Boulevard in this style, it would be cringy. It's like you're turning it into a completely different story. But I could trust him to just remake Some Like It Hot. I think that would also work pretty well for him.
So one question did pop up while I was watching this movie that I wanted to ask you here. So some of these directors that go way out in one direction visually, they go to these kind of extremes. At some point, they circle back and do more straightforward things. And I specifically thought about Tarsem, who recently directed Selfless, which was a straightforward kind of action film.
Yeah.
And a Lady Gaga video in 2020. Do you think there's any chance that Wes Anderson at some point will circle back to something more realistic?
No, I had the feeling that it's like one of those situations that he cannot control himself. He can't. It's not even like Tim Burton. That Tim Burton, I don't know, was like the last couple of movies that he did. That is like, this is just so generic that I wouldn't have even guessed that it was that. I would have thought that this was like, if this is done like 10 years ago, I would thought that it was someone trying to imitate Tim Burton and not having like the medium for actually just getting there. I don't think that Wes Anderson is ever going to be like toning it down because of the escalation that we have seen.
I agree. I don't think it'll happen, but I have this fantasy because I do like Wes Anderson's style when it's kind of tempered down. I would like a scriptwriter to write something for him and make him direct it that was a little more grounded in reality. I don't think we'll ever see it, but I find it interesting that I both like his style and I want him to tone it down.
That's honestly, I don't disagree with that. Oh my God, did you know that Tim Burton is directing a Beetlejuice 2?
I did not know that. Tim Burton lost my attention a long time ago.
Yeah. In any case, I think that Wes Anderson is his own style. It's like he's never going to be like moving to something else, turning it down, taking like the script from someone else for doing something. It's like he's just a one-man show.
Yep, agreed.
And for better than worse, I think that is not at the level of, you know, like other directors like David Lynch or Haneke or anything like that. But I'm pretty thankful that there is a director, you know, with a specific artistic vision, and he's completely uncompromising about like just keep taking it like even further.
I agree. And we constantly have this discussion about style over substance. We have differing tolerances for it, but we both like it. When someone wants to make something visually beautiful, we forgive a lot. And Wes Anderson is somebody who does that. That being said, I can't bring myself to go see French Dispatch.
No, don't go. There is no reason.
You told me not to go.
No, I mean, if you want to actually do this, you know, like Wes Anderson cycle, we can do it. But in all honesty, it's not a good movie.
Nope, I have no desire to see that film. In fact, my husband bought us tickets without talking to me. And I was like, why did you do that? I don't want to see the movie.
Yeah. I would say that another director that does like something similar to this is Condry. But I think that Condry really depends the end result on the script that he has. Because otherwise it's just not a story, it's just, here you go, visual quirkiness.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all.
So,
I also like about him.
Yeah. We never watched The Eternal Sunset of the Spotless Mind.
I mean, we've both seen it multiple times. I don't think we've ever watched it as Gaybros.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm just curious. So I will be adding it if it's not in the list that I watch. But about Water Rocket, should we go over the questions?
Let's do it.
Would you watch it again?
Yeah, I would.
Okay, for me also, yes, I like that. He was like, yes, I would. And
There's no caveats. I mean, this is the second time I've seen it. I liked it more the second time. I'm not going to watch it in the next 5 years, but in 5 years, if I want to be like, let's remember where Wes Anderson came from.
Yeah, I think that it can be like a recurring movie for just that conversation. You know, yep. For me, I would watch it again. If it's playing on TV, I would watch it again, you know, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be like thinking, you know, one movie I really want to watch without the context is that is Wes Anderson, and it would be interesting to watch it, you know, for just seeing
Bottle Rocket. That's the one you really want to watch.
Exactly. Would you recommend it?
Yes, the answer is yes. Not in a ton of situations, but if people wanted to see where he came from, his first film, a pretty good comedy, yeah, I would.
Yeah, me too. I think that if someone asks me about like a comedy, I may actually remember this. I mean, someone tells me it's like Wes Anderson, Bottle Rocket, would you recommend it? Yeah, let's watch it. It's fine. Would you remember it?
I think the answer to that is no. I remembered very little from my first viewing. I remembered Luke Wilson being in the swimming pool, and that's about it.
Yeah, same here. It's like I don't think that I'm going to be remembering much about this movie or anything at all.
I'll remember that I liked it the second time, and that's about it.
Yeah. Is there anything artistic about it?
Yeah, he definitely has a style. Yes, he has a distinctive style that comes through in this film, and it's quirky and weird and beautiful sometimes. And yes,
yeah, for me too. It's like I think that is a bit more of a tame style, or he was trying to just still finding his voice, but it's there already. And from that perspective, I feel like it's like this is an interesting thing that still feels like pretty indie, but you see like some, I don't know how to say, like signs of something greater,
like bursts of his style.
correct. Yeah. So I don't know why words are not coming today. Is it a timeless piece?
I would say so. I mean, it takes place in a time without cell phones, without the internet, really, but it's not really relevant to the story, so it doesn't feel like it's in pre-internet times, and nothing that it addresses is rooted in the 90s. So yes.
Yeah, I think that you could remake this movie right now, and it will feel exactly like the same thing.
Yep.
And it's like from what year? 96?
96 is the release date. I'm not sure if that's when it came out in Sundance or when it was distributed, but mid-90s.
Okay, mid-90s. And yeah, I still feel like you could make this again and it's fine. It's like probably now they will have like their own Instagram page or something like that and supporters, but beyond that, or a YouTube channel, but beyond that, it could be the same.
It's interesting to think that this film came out 1 year before Titanic.
Okay. Could you turn this into a TV show?
To be honest, I feel like it could be, and I might watch it, which that's a rare example of when I said yes to this question. Usually I say no, I don't like, this is a movie, don't turn it into a TV show, but the road trips, the separation of the characters, the regrouping, it would make a decent miniseries.
Yeah, I go with maybe, because this is like one that you try to make it a bit more of a, how do you say, the words are not coming, like the type of show that you can watch any episode, that they're like just designed for syndication, that is every single episode is like a standalone story. You could do that, and from my perspective,
Friends or The Office, something like that.
Yeah, or how do you say, a CSI. That is that there may be like some continuity details, but mostly everything doesn't matter if it's like the first season, the seventh one is that there is a crime, something happens, there is investigation, and we solve it. Or House, for example. There is not too much of a, weight behind. It's like I don't want. It's more formulaic, than episodic. If they were to do that, it's like maybe it would work, but I would never watch that. It's like I think that it's a bit more about like the progression of the characters, just seeing where they end. I felt like that has been a cute story. We have seen like some growth on each one of them in different ways. So a bit more maybe because you could extend this a bit longer because it's super nice to watch. There is no like too much demand. It goes like super fast. It's like, I could have watching like a bit more and just been watched this like 3 or 4 hours of this.
And I would like to see more, for instance, about the story between Anthony and Inez. Like, there's a lot more content there, I think.
No, that's true. I find it hilarious when they actually kidnap like the other kid in the hotel that speaks English and Spanish, and they just use her using as a translator. How awkward it gets about like, oh, he says that he really enjoys what you did. He's like, no, translate.
Sex was very fun with you. I enjoyed it.
And the face of, I don't know how I feel. Yeah, come on, translate this. That's super, I don't know, like cute. Like when the guy also goes downstairs, like, just tell Anthony that I love him.
I actually found that joke, like, I was like, it's obvious he was translating, but then I completely forgot about it. And when Dignan brought it up, I was like, God damn you, Wes Anderson, you tricked me.
But it was well made. I like the reaction from Owen Wilson. That you know where this is going, That is, he's not going to be like saying anything, but not because he's evil. It's just because he thought that it was like, this is so random. Like this random gay is telling that he loves my friend. He's like, what is going on? And I like the reaction of Owen Wilson. He's like, okay, sure, whatever. After I'm like, that's weird. Yeah, I found like that joke. I found like, okay, I giggle a bit at it. Like, okay, like the first like the very terrible, like the bookshop assault. I also laugh a bit about it, because at the beginning I thought that they were assaulting a religious bookshop because they were in front of the religious books, and I felt it's like that's like the most insane thing to steal, like place to go to steal.
Too intense for Wes Anderson.
But yeah, do you think that this movie could have been better?
I think we need to change this question to read, would you change anything about this movie? Because I'm sure this film could be better, but Wes Anderson is way more talented than I am as a director. So it's like, I don't know what to point out, but sure, every movie could get better, but no, I wouldn't change anything about this.
Yeah. No, I mean, regardless of how we format the question, for me, this is a movie that, yeah, it could be better, but I couldn't touch it. It's like, this is like a perfect product. I don't know if I try to just, I don't know, like bump a bit, like the cinematography style is like, it may actually fall apart on the other side. It's like, this is good. This is like a round movie. I'm not going to say that it's perfect, but it's like, with the idea that you have, this is like properly executed. There is no like a, how do you say, like a specific problem with it that I could actually just go there and say, like, hey, the script sucks, or the acting sucks, or the casting was terrible. It's like, no, everything here works.
That's a good way to describe it. No, there's no major problems here.
Yeah. So should we score this?
We should. This was your pick.
So you had to score first. I'm writing down my score. So what is your score?
7.5.
And it's exactly the same as mine.
It's a good movie.
Yep. It's a good movie, but I don't think that I'm going to remember it, so I will feel bad about like giving like more score. It's just good entertainment, good quality entertainment.
Yes. I feel like we should put this in our Google Calendar right now in 6 months to ask about it. And then in 6 months, we'll be like, what the fuck is this calendar?
It happened like some months ago. So it's like, dude, where did we have like this alert about like, there was one a couple of weeks ago that it was
for Twin Peaks.
Yeah, asking who killed Laura Palmer. That it was like, that's interesting that we thought, I mean, I remember, we're not going to spoil it just in case, but it's like, did you remember that? Who killed her? You don't say it, but it's like, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I remember.
Okay, you remember. Yeah. But it was like just interesting, like just being surprised about like, what? Okay.
Are you adding it to the calendar?
I'm adding it right now because otherwise I'm going to be there for it.
Listen, do you remember the plot of Bottle Rocket?
Okay, and like remember, I'm adding like the notes right now. Do you remember the plot of Bottle Rocket? I'm adding like a description, and that is like I'm going to be like asking you if you also remember like the twist at the end. The small
twist is what we did not mention about Mr. Henry. Okay.
Correct. Yeah. Do you remember the twist? And I felt like that was like a good thing. That is like I didn't see it coming, and I felt it's like this actually confirms even more that these guys like live completely interwalled. That I thought that's cute.
He's a very gullible child.
Yeah, all of them.
All
of them. Yeah, and all of them is like they just roll with Owen Wilson about like sure, yeah, whatever. Yeah, that sounds like fun, and we are good friends, so let's do it. Anything else to say about Bottle Rockets?
I don't think so. I just like this film. If somebody wants to see a decent comedy by Wes Anderson that's not extremely hyper stylized, check it out.
Fully agree. And what are we going to be watching next? This is your pick.
We're going to pull from our to be watched list, and we're going to watch the Denis Villeneuve film Prisoners, starring Jake Gyllenhaal and Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, I was going to say Hugh Grant, but that would have been weird.
I think I would prefer Hugh Grant and Jake Gyllenhaal working together.
I would watch that, and on the biblical sense. I mean,
deep fakes.
Yeah, that's true. God. Okay, mate. So this was great. Thank you so much for actually just mentioning this one to me. It has been always like in the back of my mind. So I'm pretty happy that at least I got to see it. And to all those people out there, thank you so much for listening.
Keep washing your hands.
forever.
That's it. Don't shake hands, people. That's it.
Sorry. Okay, bye.